those who I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Mark. I'm Nick's dad. Thank you all for being here. We truly appreciate you sharing this special time with us, and we're looking forward to a wonderful evening and a great and memorable weekend together. We had the privilege of watching Nick grow through many stages of life, but one of the most meaningful chapters began when he met Sarah Wells, which started as a long-distance relationship, something that isn't always easy, quickly showed us the connection, the feelings, and the spark that she had ignited in him. After many phone calls and several trips to North Carolina, Nick started to open up and share more about her and her family with us. We could hear the excitement and the sincerity in his voice as he spoke about her kindness, her character, and the connection they were building despite the distance. In July, he shared a photo of them together, and we could finally put a face with a name that we had come to know so well. Over the summer and into the fall, he shared a few more pictures at various places and events. I also believe we had a few telephone conversations. Finally, in December, Sarah Wells came to Kentucky for Christmas. Looking back, she was like a gift to our family that was being slowly introduced as the year went by until we finally had the opportunity to meet. From the very beginning, Sarah Wells, you made a genuine and lasting impression on all of us. Your beauty, you are fun, outgoing, easy to talk to, and have a vibrant personality. Your eagerness to join our goofy family games, taking on escape rooms, whitewater rafting, bowling, Topgolf, and brook. One of my favorite memories will always be Thanksgiving in Gatlinburg with our entire family, watching you connect so effortlessly with everyone, my parents, my sister, her family, Eric and his family, and especially with Kyle. You didn't just spend time with us, you became part of us. So now, if you would, sorry about that. So now, if you would, please join me in raising your glasses to Sarah Wells, to the beautiful life she and Nick are building together. May their journey be filled with shared dreams, lasting joy, and the kind of partnership that grows stronger with each passing year. And may the love they found, one that joins us all, and extends to Kentucky, to North Carolina, and South Carolina. May it continue to carry them forward wherever life leads and provide a lifetime of happiness together. Cheers. Cheers. Right. If you know what.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim, Nicholas's mom, or as he calls me, his mama. And before I really start into my speech, I want to tell you a story. And this was several years ago. I got a new job, and I came home from work, and Nicholas was there, and I was telling him about an exercise that we did. And everyone went around the table, asking the new person a question so they could get to know them. And I said, somebody asked me a question I've never been asked before. Do you remember this? And I said, they asked me, what's something that I've really tried, but I've realized I'm just not very good at it? And he said, well, what'd you say? And I said, well, basketball. I've spent hours in the driveway with you and Eric playing basketball, and I'm no better today than I was 15 years ago. And he said, yeah, and another good answer would have been comedy. So I say that because I tried to add a little comedy, but according to Nicholas, I'm not very good at it, so just laugh when we get there. Okay. I've had a lot of friends that I've talked to over the years, and many of them have said to me when their kids were born that they immediately started praying for their future spouse. Well, I always thought that was really odd because I wasn't really thinking about praying for his future spouse. When he was a baby, I was just praying for one full night of sleep. Just one. That was what I was praying for. And when they're young and they're crawling all over you, you're not really thinking that, like, this human, you're raising them to one day leave you, right? To be able to stand on their own and be independent. And one day, they're going to love another woman more than they love their mother. And so, Sarah Wells, I apologize I didn't start praying for you as early as a lot of people think I should have, but I do feel like he's totally ready to be your husband. When Nicholas was born, I thought I wanted 4 to 6 kids. By the time he was 2, I can remember thinking, yeah, 2 is going to be good enough. Nicholas was so busy, he was so determined, and he thought boundaries were just suggestions. He spent most of his childhood trying to keep up with his older brother Eric, who's 4 years older than him. And I spent most of that time trying to convince him to quit growing up so fast. But somewhere along the way, he turned into an easy teenager to raise. That doesn't come along very often with boys. Genuinely easy, not perfect, but he was easy. And I'll never forget his freshman year of college. He called me in January. And he started talking about, hey mom, spring break's coming up in a couple months. And in the back of my mind, I'm starting to think about how I'm going to crush him and tell him I'm not paying for his trip to Florida on spring break. We're going to have a talk about responsibility and budgets. But that's not what he said. He said, Mom, how about you, Dad, and Eric and I, let's go backpacking. Backpacking? We had never been backpacking before, but I could not buy those backpacks quick enough. Nicholas is loyal to his family to the core. And from an early age, it was obvious that he was going to march to the beat of his own drum. In high school, he was, you all won't believe this, but he was short until he got to about his sophomore year of high school. And he just shot up. And he had a hard time finding clothes that he liked. And he found a pair of shorts at Walmart that he liked. And so he went back and bought multiple pairs of different colors. And he would wear them around with his Ralph Lauren polos, and he started his own fashion movement. And when he was in elementary school, before they were trendy, he was wearing bow ties. By the time everybody else caught up, he was done with bow ties. Then he comes home from high school one day and he says, hey mom, I want to try out for the lacrosse team. Lacrosse? No one in our family knew anything about lacrosse. But he tried out for the lacrosse team. His freshman year, he made the varsity team. That was Nicholas.
Started.
Started? Well, I don't think he started your freshman year. Oh, one game. Okay. He didn't start his sophomore year. Okay. But he was the first in our family to go away to college. And he spent summers by himself, going to D.C., going to Atlanta, not knowing anyone else there, to interns for politicians and attorneys. He's always had this quiet bravery inside him. He's always been able to step in unfamiliar places with confidence. But if you know Nicholas, what really stands out about him is how genuine he is. He is completely and unapologetically himself. He's not a people pleaser, and he keeps it real. But underneath that honesty is a very tender heart. And throughout every stage of life, Nicholas has sought advice from Mike and I. He's been mature enough to ask for help when he knows he needs it. He's been responsible enough to learn from his mistakes. And occasionally, he's even apologized when it was necessary. We've certainly had our moments when we passionately disagree. Our personalities are a lot alike like that. But he's circled back around and said, hey, Mom, I should have handled that differently. And I'm not saying I never did that myself. And that says so much about his character. And one of the greatest privileges about being a mom is seeing pieces of the people you love manifested in your child. Everybody has been talking about how friendly he is. His friendly spirit never meets a stranger. He gets that from my mother. My mother never met a stranger. His sense of integrity, to always want to do the right thing, he gets that from my dad. His fierce loyalty to his family, he gets from my mother-in-law, Bonnie. And that big old heart wrapped in that stoic exterior, he gets from Royce, his grandfather. Nicholas has brought so much love and laughter and light to our family so much laughter. He is our family chief fun officer. He calls himself that, but no one in our family would deny that that is Nicholas. Both of my boys are treasures to me. And what I really want for them more than anything is to find happiness in the good times, to find joy even in the suffering. And at the end of this journey, to find their way back to the Lord. Because in the end, that is really the only thing that matters. You can have success, money, big homes, every comfort this world offers. But if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, none of those really mean anything. They will never satisfy. And that's one of the things that's touched me most about the Luke family. The first time we came to Winston-Salem, Vicki asked us if we wanted to go to church with them. We had prayed and held hands around their kitchen table. And those moments mean so much to me, because what that reveals to me is that Sarah was raised to know and love Jesus. And truly, that's the foundation for a lasting marriage. The world tells us to put ourselves first. God tells us to be humble and to put others first. The world says walk away when relationships become difficult. God says forgive, extend grace even when it's hard. A marriage rooted in faith and prayer will last a lifetime. So Sarah, I know I've gone into a lot of detail, but all of this is simply my way of saying that Nick is loyal, brave, genuine, responsible, virtuous, independent, and deeply loving. The people he loves means everything to him, and you are his most important person. You're full of grace and beauty, inside and out, and we couldn't be happier to welcome you into our family. And I know each passing year we're going to love you more and more. And to the Luke family, thank you for sharing your beautiful daughter. We promise to love and cherish her, just like we know you will love and cherish Nicholas. And to Nicholas and Sarah, I believe with all my heart you two are beautifully matched, that you have what it takes to build a joyful, meaningful life together. May your life be full of laughter, faith, adventure, forgiveness, family, and enduring love. Here's to the bride and groom.
Beautiful.
Well, I shouldn't have followed her. That was beautiful. Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you to the Davises for a wonderful dinner. It was delicious. And thank you for celebrating Sarah Wells and Nick with all of us, giving us this dinner to cheer them on. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the very lucky one who gets to say I'm Sarah Wells' mom. Of course, Sarah Wells is our youngest of three, our baby. And with a brother 8 years older and a sister 4 years older, from the very beginning, she was truly surrounded by love. I mean, they doted over her constantly. She and Jimmy have always had such a close relationship, unlike what you would think with an 8-year-old or 8-year separation. They're just really tight and get each other. Jimmy has literally carried her on his shoulders until she was far, far too big for that to make sense. Legs dangling down, when she was 9 years old, still on his shoulders and everything. And Anne, while their fond, is more than special. It's something that people really admire. They're so close sometimes, they behave like twins, finishing each other's sentences, saying things at the same time, same gestures, same songs. They have each other's backs, and they understand each other so well. Although Sarah Wells was always the clown, the silly and sassy little girl, always with the jazz dancer's pose in every photo, she was also a rule follower. and a pleaser. I think the opposites attract in that way. It'll be a nice balance because she would rather be hurt than hurt somebody. She would rather work double or whatever it takes to make people happy, and is not happy if she can't do that. And she's extremely embarrassed when I'm not the rule follower. Yep. Unlike Nick, she is a people pleaser. And unlike anyone else in the family, she absolutely loves puzzles, instructions, and anything that needs putting together or solving. And if you ever have anything IKEA, she's your girl. As the years went by, Sarah Wells never lost her goofy side, but she was a very sensitive and shy girl. And just to be cruel, what we did was give this sensitive and shy girl a double name so that she'd have to explain it every time she introduced herself, which she really didn't like. But she has grown to love it, and we have too. And if you don't like double names, Swells works too. So she's experienced the joy of having to explain herself all the time. I think she's quietly cursive. But she has come to love the name Wellington, and it's a family name that means a lot on my mom's side, and I think she'll love the history of it. Being the youngest, she's always been my buddy by my side, and she's made it a little easier when I had to let the others go. So letting go of number 3 is going to be, she's my buddy. So let's talk about Nick. When it comes to love, I've always thought that you could really tell a lot by eye contact. And you can say so much without a single word. And the very first thing I noticed is when I saw Nick with Sarah Wells, the way he looked at her, he seemed to look just straight through her to her soul sometimes. And I also noticed his patience and his kindness, the way he handled her concerns with such care, the way they communicate so well, and he comforts her, but most significantly, the way he makes her laugh, especially when she's all twisted up about something, and he'll just come out with the silliest comment or something that really helps your mind relax. But just when I thought it couldn't get any better, we met Nick's family. And what an amazing, wonderful, kind, Christian, loving family. We were just thrilled. It became so clear where Nick gets his heart, his deep love of family, and his respect for his mom and dad, which is, one that put me over the top. He wanted me there. The most impressive Nick trait, though, is, and I admit after spending like 26 years to haul my kids to church 3-4 times a week, I thought I'd done a pretty good job. And then Nick comes along, and seriously, he's like a full Bible documentary in his brain. I'm not exaggerating. To us, he can come up with any answer about anything. He's like Encyclopedia Nick in there. And facts and figures and timing and the things that I probably focused on the words and read and probably didn't do as good a job. But he's a great balance for them in that area. I really think God had his hand in bringing them together in Nashville. It was a perfect meeting. Now, Nick, I have to share one funny story. I remember a moment right here near Pawleys Island. It was only like a year into the relationship, and you pulled me aside. And you know how Nick always has to preface something before he says it? So he starts out saying, "Miss Luke, this might be a weird thing to say, but I just got to tell you this." And he says so confidently, "I just want you to know I'm going to be the first in the family to get you a grandchild." I know. You were very confident that you and Sarah Wells would beat Jimmy and Ann to it. I was a little taken back, but I was also so happy because it was clear how much you already loved her and you envisioned the future with her. So now, as we all know, Porter is here, Jimmy's son, Jimmy Grant's son, and baby Bailey's on the way. So Nick, you're a little behind schedule. So, Nick, we truly, truly love you. You fit perfectly into our family. We're so grateful for the way you love our little girl. And Sarah Wells, my sweet baby, you've grown into an incredible woman, still my buddy. But watching you become who you are today has been one of the greatest joys of my life. So please raise a glass to Sarah Wells and Nick. May your life together be filled with laughter, patience, deep faith, and that team of 6 or 7 children that Nick keeps talking about. Cheers. Seven? Depends on the day.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Luke Hemphill. I am Sarah Wells' first cousin. I am between an age of Ann and Sarah Wells. I'm only 2 years older than her. And for a long time there, you and I did everything together. I don't have anything written down because, like you and like Jimmy, I'm a crier. And so I could never get through it, and it was also never enough. While I was thinking about what to say, I realized you were my best friend. We went to the zoo, the aquarium, amusement park. You hated that roller coaster. But I realized there was nothing I could write down that would be enough for how much you mean to me. Vicky did tell me to keep it short, which is perfect because I don't think I could do this much longer. I don't get to see you nearly as much as I wish I did. I want to come see all of you more. Good. But, Nick, welcome to the family. You know what you're in for. I don't know if Sarah Wells and I ever really got to talk about the first full conversation Nick and I had together. We'd seen each other like in passing at short events, but it was before Ann's reception or rehearsal. I was one of the first people to be ready to walk over, and so was Nick. I knew no one else downstairs, and neither did he, so that was perfect. So he and I just got to talking. I didn't know him, he didn't know me, so we just shared life. But the part that really set him apart is the next time I saw him, he had follow-up questions. He remembered. He knew what was happening at that point in time. He knew what I did. He listens. He pays attention. And you need to. She talks a lot. But for those who don't know, I work in restaurants. Alcohol is kind of my business. So when Vicky told me to make a toast, I go, I have a lot of toasts. I don't know who's there. I can't say most of them. But I do have my favorite, and it's perfect for you. Some of you may know it, but in this world, there are big ships, and there are wood ships, and those ships sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and those will always be. Sarah Wells, I love you so much. Nick, welcome to the family. Cheers, everybody.
Can you hear me back there, Hugh? You can hear me. I wanted to make sure I'm in the back corner. Man, to follow up all of those, holy cow. My name's Kyle Steele. I am a friend of Nick's. I went to college with Nick, roommates. First off, as I'm sure we've already said, want to just thank the Davises and the Lutes for just in anticipation of a great weekend, an already great night. We're all, a number of us from Lexington and Louisville, really, really excited to be here. We were talking about it all week. This is going to be a really fun trip for us. So we're all very happy to be here. So as I said, I went to college with Nick, lived down the hall from him in a fraternity house, and lived down the hall from him in a house off of campus. He now obviously lives in North Carolina and lived in Louisville for a couple years after that, so I haven't spent as much time with him in the last couple years as I would have liked to. But so one thing about Nick that most people probably know, if you don't, based off of the cake, he's a big sports fan. We've got the UK on top, thankfully, with the Hurricanes being on the bottom, but bigger. I was thinking about their story, and sports actually play a pretty big role in their story. Nick and Sarah Wells met, if my recollection is correct, in Nashville, 2021, when a handful of us went down to watch the University of Kentucky Wildcats play in the SEC tournament. Correct. The University of Kentucky Wildcats that year got beat on Thursday of the SEC tournament and proceeded to not even make the NCAA tournament. We're all big UK fans. We think that it's a big historic not franchise but school. So an underwhelming year for sure for us. Since then, we got beat by St. Peter's in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Oakland and Jack Golke, first round of the NCAA tournament. And last I checked, we were ranked 92nd in recruiting for recruits for college basketball. Nick's a big sports fan. I don't want to say which team is his favorite, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say University of Kentucky basketball is up there. Nick, are we and members of the media going to have to start having a conversation of, is Sarah Wells bad for UK basketball? Because anytime a big event happens for you all, circa 2021, circa 2026, it doesn't look good for us. Wells, I'm obviously just poking fun at you, and I know you can take it and handle it. And I thought about this for, what am I going to say about Nick, and how am I going to poke fun at Nick and all, what are we going to jab at? Are we going to tell a story? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And I thought about it. How can you poke fun at him? He's perfect. Swells, I lived with him for a couple of years. You've been with him for a number of years. You ever heard him say something along the lines of, is there a better looking guy in this city than me? Do I have the Rolls Royce of haircuts? I mean, this is as good as it gets. I had a line item in my phone of, is there a better jawline in this city than mine? That is hilarious that you mentioned that. What's also funny is Mrs. Davis mentioned, Nick said at one point, if I hadn't broken the collarbone, I would have played professional lacrosse. That last part may have been a lie, but you get the point. How can you make fun of the guy? He's perfect, right? He clearly has no flaws at all. He's got no time for little games, that's for sure. I mean, could you be any luckier, Swells, right? It's tough to do. It's tough to do. I'm obviously poking fun at both of them. On a more serious note, the Lukes are right there. You guys have raised such an amazing daughter. We've had the privilege, my wife and I, of traveling with them on a number of vacations. She is such a joy to be around. She's so charismatic. She's so fun. She brings out such a good side of Nick that we obviously know we all need. Nick, I'm obviously poking fun at you. One of my best friends. Hardest working guy I know. Your mom mentioned a man of integrity. I was going to say the exact same thing. Such great character. And one of the most reliable guys I can, if I ever needed to rely on. So, in the spirit of keeping this short, even though it may not have been, let's raise a toast to the bride and groom.
Hi everyone, I'm Eliza and I've had the pleasure of knowing Sarah Wells, or Swells as we like to call her, since college when we were roommates for our first 2 years. Living together, you really get to know someone, and I can confidently say there's no one more loyal, fun, and easier to love than Swells. She really wears her heart on her sleeve in the best way and is the kind of person who always shows up for the people she loves. And also the kind of person who has watched Friends so many times, I'm pretty sure she could recite every single episode word for word. As I'm sure most of you have heard at some point or another, I have to mention one of my favorite memories with her, which was our girls' trip to Nashville, because little did we know that trip would be the start of something so special. Somewhere between the music, the fun, and night out, she came across Nick, and what could have just been a funny story turned into something so much bigger. Despite the distance with Nick in Kentucky, you two made it work. You traveled, you showed up for each other, and you built something really strong, eventually adding your sweet dog Maggie into the mix. Swells, I'm so grateful that college brought us together and that we've stayed so close ever since. You've been such an important part of my life, and I feel so lucky to stand by your side today. So let's raise a glass to a love story that started in Nashville, and to Nick for being in the right place at the right time. Cheers.
Hello, everyone. Is this working? So, a lot of Nick and I's stories. So, Nick and I were in college together. He's a couple years older than me. But I would say a lot of our story starts kind of around COVID. There were 5 of us that pretty much hung out every single weekend whenever the whole country was basically closed down. We met up at each one's house every weekend. And then it kind of started as a joke. We were like, oh, there's a 5-bedroom house. Let's talk about that. And we ended up doing it. So we lived with 5 of us, and it was probably the most fun. It was going to be for a year, just going to be a quick ride. And ended up, we probably lived there 3.5 years or so. But we ended up becoming just insanely close. And I was actually there the weekend that Nick and Swells met in Nashville. There were 4 of us, and they hit it off that weekend. We we were there for stimulus checks. We got those, and we decided, let's go have a fun weekend. And then they met, and it was a great weekend. We all had a lot of fun. We didn't put a lot of stock into it. And then we got the second stimulus checks, and Nick's like, how about we all go to Raleigh for the weekend? We're like, oh, I guess so. And then he obviously had a bigger plan going on. But with that, I've got to see them from the very beginning and every step of the way. Swells coming to Kentucky, us going to Raleigh, Nick doing the long trips down, and you all come and staying at the lake with me and everything. And it's just been such a pleasure to meet Swells and see you all grow together. It's been a crazy several years for sure, and I'm just so happy for you guys and happy to be a part of it and happy to be here with everybody. And so raise a glass to you guys and congrats. Cheers.
Hi everyone, my name is Marley. I'm one of Sarah Wells' bridesmaids. I met Swells in college and we lived together junior and senior year at our beloved house on Horn Street. I have a million great things to say about Sarah Wells and Nick, but I wanted to talk even more about how her and Nick met, because I was the one to introduce them. Something I'll never stop bragging about. It was a rainy night in Nashville, the second night of our junior year spring break. We were at our favorite bar we had discovered on the trip called The Stage. As the night progressed, Sarah Wells pointed out a boy to me across the bar who she thought was cute. If you know me, you know I'm a very good wingwoman, especially after a few drinks. I made my way over to this boy and asked, "Are you on spring break too?" He responded, "No, I'm 26." I said, that will do, I thought. He was very happy to see the girl in the orange shirt I pointed out across the room. They spent the rest of the night dancing away to country music and having just a few deep eddies and sodas. I'm so happy to be just a small part of y'all's story. Nothing makes me more happy than seeing Swells happy, and Nick has done just that these past 5 years. I have the best memories living with Sarah Wells, Catherine, and Grace in college, laughing until our stomachs hurt, drinking red wine out of the box, trying to cook and only starting a few fires, sitting on the floor at 2 a.m. singing Dixie Chicks, pushing our mattresses together in the living room because spending the night in our own rooms was just too much time apart. In our last few months, we would listen to The House That Built Me by Miranda Lambert and make ourselves cry because there was no way that life could get any better than this. I'm so thankful to have lived with you during some of my most formative years. You taught me how to express love in small gestures, the importance of finding the most perfect song for the moment, and the safest place to go in the house in case of a tornado. Last year, Swells took me in with open arms when I had some PA school rotations in Winston-Salem. 1 month turned into 4, and Sarah Wells never faltered in being the most kind host and friend. She cooked me dinner, wrote me sweet notes when she was leaving for the weekend, and got me flowers when I finished my exams. She welcomed me into her home and into her family's home too. I'll always remember my first Winston-Salem snow day eating Mr. Luke's Brunswick stew. While in Winston, I had the pleasure of being there for another one of Sarah Wells and Nick's major life events, bringing home Maggie May. Sorry you guys can't get rid of me. I watched how they worked together to take care of this sweet puppy. They carried each other through late nights and early mornings. A few times, I came home late from school and would find them still awake at midnight, having a beer and jamming to old country music videos. I got to see firsthand a glimpse into their future as a married couple. Even though I was third wheeling, I was so excited to see the life that Sarah Wells and Nick were building together. Sarah Wells is thoughtful, loyal, and so silly. She is sweet, genuine, and kind-hearted. I can't wait for so many years of laughing together. Nick, you sacrificed so many things to pick up your life and move to Winston-Salem to be here at Swells. I don't doubt you'll continue to make sacrifices for Sarah Wells' happiness, and that's all I can ask for my best friend. Love you guys so much. Cheers.
What's the problem?
Do we have a problem? Blair, you only grabbed 8 beers last time. You need more? All right. So I am married to Ann. I'm the brother-in-law. And the first time I met Sarah Wells was when Sarah Wells was actually moving out of her freshman dorm at NC State. And it must have been pretty early in Ann and I's relationship, because instead of saying, "Look at me, what am I going to do?" I said, "I would love to, honey." I don't think I said much. Sarah Wells has been great, though, because I'm able to text her about gift ideas. And you can thank your sister that you did not get the full DVD box set of Friends with an accompanying DVD player. The only problem about Sarah Wells, though, was that I would text her at normal times, like grown-up times, like 8 in the morning through 5 p.m. And she had at least a 16 to 18 hour response time for whenever she decided to get out of bed. Raleigh was great, though. It was great to have Sarah Wells there, until it wasn't. No, not when she lived with me. That's coming up. That's next phase. It was her 21st birthday when there was a noise complaint. The police were called, and Johnny, I don't know if it was you, but he looked like you. And the dude goes, "Why don't you go talk to him? You're at least 40, right?" Come on, man. But then we get to Sarah Wells graduating from NC State, and she moves in with Ann and me, which was right before our wedding, which some people say, "Whoa."
I said, whoa, not. And Ann would come home and say, we've got I don't know, things you talk about leading up to a wedding. And I would say, Sarah Wells, what do you think about that? And then I would just slowly back out of the room. And it got solved real quick. Well, I don't know how quick it got solved, but it got solved and I didn't have to solve it. But moving in with her, or not moving in with her, moving in with us, was great. I immediately had another Canes fan, so Ann could stop yelling at me about watching Canes games instead of some Bravo crap. And I immediately had a teammate. Sarah Wells always took my side. And I think it was because she felt comfortable enough going up to Ann saying, he was wrong, but I didn't want to tell him that. But I didn't lose an argument for about 8 months. It was really nice. So anytime you want to come back, you're welcome. It came at a cost there. And the cost of that was walking into my kitchen every morning with every freaking cabinet door wide open. Because Sarah Wells needed 1 cup of coffee, and apparently it took 39 cabinets to find the cup. She's loved by all, though. You've heard it here today. She's kind, she's funny, she's smart, and this was certainly true. Our dog certainly felt the same, because after she moved out, our dog left a very smelly present on her bed after Sarah Wells moved out. She was not happy Sarah Wells moved out. Nick comes along. Nick, I see a lot of you in me. And so did Blair when he was eyeing me up at the bachelor party and goes, are you the brother or the brother-in-law? And I said, I'm the brother-in-law. And he goes, good, because it'd be weird if she was marrying somebody that looks just like her brother. About 3 years ago when Ann and I got married, I probably made, humbly, probably one of the grandest gestures in Forsyth County to symbolize the passing of the torch from Jay taking care of Ann to now, me taking over. And I gave Jay back his gas card. And Sarah Wells, let's see it. It's your turn. Give it back. Give it back. I love you both. Cheers. Congratulations.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine the Carpentier.
And I'm Grace the Carpentier.
We're twins and had the pleasure of becoming fast friends with Sarah Wells at NC State.
Although we practically lived in each other's dorms freshman year and were lucky enough to have rooms down the hall in the sorority house, our most cherished memories are living with Sarah Wells on our house at Horn Street.
Our lease started the summer after being quarantined with our parents during COVID. Our study abroad programs and internships were canceled, but I can confidently say that this was one of the best summers of my entire life. Everything fun and nothing good comes from 5 girls living in a college house with no classes and literally 0 responsibilities while the world is shut down. Every day typically started around noon, asking ourselves, what should we do today? The answer was usually a pool day, which was somewhat difficult for girls with a gravel parking lot as a backyard, but we made it work by building what we proudly called sandals, our makeshift pool made out of scrap pallets and a tarp. If you drank enough cheap champagne to forget that you were shoulder to shoulder in essentially a big bathtub with too many friends, it was paradise.
We probably spent too much time cramped together, whether it was in a makeshift pool in a gravel parking lot, or mega bed nights with our mattresses piled up together in the living room, but we just wanted to be spending life side by side with Sarah Wells. Nick, we know exactly why you chose to do life with Sarah Wells. She's so easy to love and loves everyone around her unconditionally.
As Marley mentioned, we met Nick while in Nashville on spring break. Days after we got back to Raleigh, Swells, giddy as ever, told me that the tall man that we met in Nashville was still texting her. I remember sitting with her at the kitchen table and saying, Sauls, this is so fun, but it's never going to work out. He lives in Kentucky, he's an attorney, and we don't even know either of those for sure. And yeah, like we were stalking your LinkedIn.
3 weeks later, Swells tells us that we might be seeing Nick again. Apparently, he and his friends had been wanting to take a vacation and conveniently landed on Raleigh, North Carolina, in an Airbnb about 5 minutes away from our house. Seeing them together that weekend, we knew it was the start of something special.
My favorite thing about their relationship is that they always show up for each other. Countless times, Nick hopped in his truck or on a plane without question or complaint to be there even for just one night. Often we found Nick was prepping for trials at our rickety kitchen table while the 5 of us were running circles around him trying to get ready for our night out. But he was always happy to be there for any formal, football game, dad weekend, graduation, or for no event at all.
The dedication and work they both put in to see each other, even if it was just for a short weekend, is so admirable. It's so telling of how much you all care for each other and how successful your future will be together. If the past few years is any indication of how it's going to go for y'all, I can't wait to see the rest of your lives together.
Swells, you're our favorite person ever, and we couldn't think of anyone better to be by your side forever. We love you guys so much. Cheers.
It feels so good to be me. It does. Right now, it feels so good to be me. Bugger. I'm gonna try to get through this better than I did with Ann. The last time I was in a position like this, no promises, all right? Here we go. 2 sisters. A little sister and a baby sister. 8 years is a huge difference. But we always managed that gap. We made it seem so small. And I'm not sure now if that really says more about me or you, but probably both. Your maturity, while forced circumstantially, and my natural immaturity probably helps bridge the gap. And as our mediator is the Midas touch. Okay. But we've always been goofs and honest around each other. We rarely ask how each other's doing. Now think about this. We just tell each other, and we naturally tell each other how we're doing. When you're up, we celebrate. You know, when I'm down, we go look at corn or soybeans. And for 10 years, we had a pretty normal life, right? And then Mama got sick, and our roles changed. I went from being a big brother to a mini dad overnight. I dropped 7th period in high school so I could make it to Sherwood and pick you up after school. Oh, and in those months, we started to open up to each other. You'd listen to me about sports, girls, college, and I'd listen to you about feelings, friends, feelings, and more feelings. And we had a lot of hard conversations too. And our lives then were not normal. But riding my G4, from the time I could lift you onto my shoulders until like 2 years ago, you were on my shoulders. It didn't seem to matter where we were. You found your way up there. Sometimes in inappropriate places. But I knew how much you loved being up there. You sat up high, you saw clear, you felt big, seen, special, safe. It was fun being up there. It didn't matter where we were, what we were doing. What you don't know is how much that meant to me. I had such a sense of pride and responsibility at a young age that I loved. It was fun being a big brother. It was fun. And I didn't have friends that had that. When you started getting too big to be up there, it stunk.
is one of those things that you don't need anymore, but over time, that list grows of things you don't need anymore from me. And that's hard sometimes, but it makes me proud to see your independence, your personality shine. Nick came into your life at a good time. Nick, thank you for coming into her life at a great time. I mean that. I love the way he looks at you. I see his dedication, his passion, his family. It's special. Thank you for being a part of our family now. But Sarah Wesley, I want to remind you that my physical shoulders are Porter's now. But never forget that I'm here to be your big brother. Okay? When everyone feels like they probably don't understand, I will. Just stay on my shoulders, brother.
Hello again. I am Eric. I am Nick's shorter, bigger brother. And I want to say thank you to the Luke family. Thank you to Mom and Dad. Just everything you worked for. All that you've invested into your children, into their well-being. This is the fruit of your labor. They are beginning their own family, but they're also expanding our families. And by their marriage, they are joining our families together. So just thank you to our parents, to our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, those who are here with us in the flesh, and those who are here just as present with us in spirit. A toast to them, our parents and grandparents, our family. I've always wanted a sister. I've always wondered what it would be like to have a sister. And tomorrow I will. I'll have a sister. And my only sister is going to marry my only brother. That joke lands a lot harder in Kentucky, let me tell you. I want to give you something to put in your back pocket, because I know Nick. I wonder if you're all aware of this. God commands husbands to be about cleaning, to be about ironing, to be about spot removal, to be about cherishing and nourishing the family. This is what it says. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spots, without wrinkles, without any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. No one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it, cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Put that in your back pocket when you need it. And Nick, you're the brother I've always needed. You have helped me pursue the potential that I have. All glory goes to God. I've given a lot of credit to my wife that she definitely deserves, a lot to my parents, but I've never given you the credit you deserve. So that basketball goal that my mom practiced around for 50 years and never got any better, we spent a lot of time around that basketball goal, and I think that's where we developed a lot of our character. So about the time he started to be able to make it interesting, he never beat me, but he could make it interesting at a certain point in life. And during one of those games, it got a little heated, like it does between brothers. And he looked at me and he said, "When are you ever going to grow up?" And it might sound funny, but it hit me exactly where I needed it to. It changed my life. I think about that moment all the time. And so, channel each other like the banks of a river towards God's will for your life. Convict each other when you need it. Challenge each other when you need it. Submit to one another. Love relentlessly. Forgive eagerly. Nick, you have a lot of accomplishments. And I've been so proud of you so many times throughout your life, but I've never been more proud And so I just continue to pray that you all have a lifetime of love, of joy, of faithfulness, and success. Make each other laugh every day and find time to pray together every single day. To Nick and Sarah.
All right. First of all, I want to thank the Davises for an amazing night. This has been incredible. We couldn't have asked for better weather, and I'm so excited to keep celebrating these two all weekend. So, my name is Anne, and I'm Sarah's older sister and maid of honor. I've been lucky enough to have Swells as not only as my sister, but truly as my best friend our entire lives. I contribute a lot of our closeness to our parents. Growing up, being a close-knit family was really not an option. Whether we liked it or not, we were going to spend a lot of time together. And I don't mean to put words in their mouth, but I think this may have come as a little bit of a shock to Meredith and Patrick. So Nick, I truly hope you know what you're getting yourself into. When Swell spoke at my own wedding a few years back, she mentioned how difficult it was to write this speech because she kept finding herself wanting to reach out to me to ask if something sounds right or how to reword something. When writing this speech, I realized just how true that is. I continuously found myself wanting to reach out to Sarah Wells to get her opinion. And that's pretty much how our entire relationship has worked our whole lives. She's my go-to person for just about everything, and it's pretty rare that I make a purchase or even make it out of a store without exchanging at least 10 texts and pictures with Sarah Wells. So Sarah Wells and I have a lot of similarities. We both grew up playing instruments, we both played tennis, we both went to NC State, and we somehow met and are marrying tall, skinny lawyers. But while we have so many similarities, I think it's actually our differences that make our relationship so fun. For example, while this might have changed in the past couple of years, Sarah Wells, growing up, really did kind of think on her feet. Lost my spot. And the difference is I would consider every option until I no longer know what the original task was. For example, a couple years ago, all the siblings went out to brunch on Sunday morning, and on the way back, we were rear-ended. I was driving, and yes, I think I had maybe had one mimosa at breakfast. I was not concerned by this at all. I was simply considering the next steps that a normal person takes in this situation, collecting insurance, assessing the damage, etc. Meanwhile, Sarah Wells was frantically unbuckling her seatbelt in the passenger seat in an attempt to switch seats with me so that I wouldn't get in trouble. I did not let her. Another example in our differences is our love or hate for the outdoors. Sarah Wells' ideal activity is fishing on a river with a ham sandwich and my dad and my brother. Meanwhile, I don't actually think I've ever been invited to one of these outings, but please don't start now. So Sarah Wells and Jimmy always took after my mom with their creative and their curious spirits. I think on any given day, my dad and I could spot them analyzing a weird-shaped rock or a worm, or just staring up at the stars and discussing them for hours. What also came with this creative and curious spirit is their ability to genuinely enjoy any task, like putting together a piece of furniture from IKEA, all without realizing that they'd started in the middle of the instructions and were doing the entire thing wrong. Meanwhile, my dad and I would read the instructions about 18 times before calling Sarah Wells to come handle this for us. But those differences are truly what make growing up with Sarah Wells so fun. As you all know, Sarah Wells is the baby of the family and has always been treated as such. But don't think that's an insult. She certainly didn't shy away from benefiting from the perks of being the youngest. One of those perks being getting away with everything, and she certainly enjoyed getting away with all of the things that Jimmy and I got in trouble for. For instance, I think Jimmy and I both got in trouble for drinking at our senior night prom, and were grounded for no less than a month. Meanwhile, when Sarah Wells got caught for the exact same thing, it was apparently not her fault, and she was just so cute. But amidst this babying, I've truly seen Sarah Wells grow into this confident and independent woman over the years, and it was only strengthened when she met Nick. Although she's not so strong and independent that she couldn't move into the investment property that my dad bought for her. Again, reaping those benefits of being the baby. In all seriousness, most people think that the older sister would be the one to protect the younger sister and teach her things. But for Swells and me, I think it's actually been the opposite. Over the years, Sarah Wells has truly taught me some of my most important life lessons. And yes, some of those lessons involve teaching me how to properly wash my whites or how to clean a pan. But Sarah Wells has also taught me how to truly care for the people you love, and I think that we've heard that a lot tonight. Through all of my hardest moments, Sarah Wells is the first one to check in and somehow knows exactly what to say, even when she's never been in the same situation. She looks out for her people and would do anything for her friends and family. And as I've gotten to know Nick over the years, it's become extremely clear to me that he has these same qualities. And I think we've also heard that a lot tonight. Meeting Nick has truly been the best thing to happen to Sarah Wells. From the moment she came home from her girls' trip in Nashville telling me that she'd met this guy named Nick, I saw something change in her. I had the pleasure of rooming with Sarah Wells again a few years back, like Patrick said, for about 8 months. Again, reaping the benefits of being the baby.
About $1.
But I got to see firsthand just how much Nick makes her laugh and how similar these two are. Their humor, their love for the Kings, and their love for each other is so fun to witness. She's happier and she's more confident in herself, and I truly couldn't ask for someone better for my baby sister. Sarah Wells, I couldn't love you more. You're my best friend, and I'm the luckiest person in the world to have you as my sister. I can't wait to watch you two grow together. Cheers to the Davises.
All right, everybody, the weekend's just getting started here, but it's already been great seeing everybody that we're so close with, particularly the people here in this room tonight. It looks like we're going to have a pretty good crowd this weekend, and I think tonight as well. I was looking, she shared the RSVP sheet with me. We've got people coming from 13 states, from Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, New York City, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Wyoming, and California. So we got people coming from all over the place, and that was really the reason why we chose to do it in such like a very conveniently, centrally located location. Now we understand how difficult it was for everybody to get here, and a lot of people volunteered to take time off work, and you've heard how important it is to me and how hard of a worker I am, so I know what it's like, and spent a lot of money to get here, and we appreciate it.
We got it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I got a few more if anybody needs those as well. If you get a car in North Carolina, give me a call. The travel, though, I know it stinks to get here, but I kind of like it because it gives everybody a taste of what I did for about 3 times a month for about 3 years. So now you all kind of know what it was like. Thank you to the Maritime Museum here for letting us use the space and making everyone so comfortable. And it's a good thing that it is very comfortable because we've had 13 speeches, and I think it's been about an hour and a half. So hopefully we'll get it wrapped up here soon. We've got hosts that aren't here tonight in this room, but they're going to be outside here in just a minute. We had 40 people that were very nice and volunteered a lot of their money to have this welcome party for everybody. So if you all see them around the night, people will be introducing you to them. Please be sure to thank them as well. To my wedding party, like each of y'all, I've been asked to be in a lot of weddings. I've been in many of y'all's weddings. And I know when I'm asked, it's often, I feel special to be asked to be included on a really special day. And then about 30 seconds later, I start doing the math on money and time. So we appreciate it that you all spent a lot of money to get to the bachelor parties and the bachelorette parties and rent tuxedos, even though you own one, and flights and hotels. We know it's a big commitment, and we really do appreciate it. With the exception of the family members that are in the wedding party, I've known all of you at least 5 years. I've known all of the groomsmen since we were teenagers. As you all have heard, Sarah Wells and I hit it off when we met in Nashville, and kind of stayed in touch. And she's never heard this, but part of me was like trying to talk myself out of it. Like, this is crazy. Am I really going to try to do this and travel back and forth to Raleigh all the time? And so I convinced, like you heard, a few groomsmen to go with me, and they had the stimulus checks, and I think they were less interested in matchmaking and more interested in going to a college campus and hanging out with college girls. 3 of those 4 are married now, though, I will say. Weren't dating any of them at the time, and one more is getting married later this year, and we're looking forward to that as well. To the bridesmaids, you all have been great over the last 5 years, letting me bug you and annoy you. Your boyfriends that are here have been great with letting me kind of come into their friend group and be buddies with them as well. You've heard a lot about our families tonight. I feel like Sarah Wells and I kind of hit the lottery with the families that we were born into. They've supported us individually our whole lives, and then together over the last 5 years. And we wouldn't be here without all their support over the last 5 years to help us. My grandfathers and my dad and my brother, my uncles have set a really good example for me on how to be a man. And whenever I'm faced with an issue and I'm not sure what to do, I think, what would they do? And then if I still can't figure it out, they always pick up the phone on the first call and kind of walk me through what they're thinking. Obviously, the guys on Sarah Wells' side of the family have been great as well. All her uncles and cousins and everybody. Jimmy, Patrick, and her dad and I have gotten particularly close. And when you move, about 7 hours away and you don't have your dad or your brother there, it can be tough when you need help. And they've always been there with anything that I need. And I want to make sure that they know that I appreciate that as well. Biggest thanks of the family goes to all the ladies, all the cousins and grandmothers and aunts and not uncles, but aunts and my mom. Everybody knows they worked their tails off, Miss Luke and my mom, to make sure that everybody had a great weekend. So if you have any questions at any point, please contact them and not me. But no, the ladies on each side of the families are really the glue that holds the families together, and I think it's probably in all of your all's families as well. And it's been mentioned kind of a little bit tonight, but Sarah Wells and I both have some family members that we were really close with that either aren't with us anymore or couldn't be here health-wise, and I have no doubt we'll feel their presence up there tomorrow afternoon as well. Sarah Wells, we prepared letters to one another. We're not doing written vows. We're just going to do the normal vows you hear at every wedding. But I wanted to share a few things. But last weekend we went to one of her friends' weddings, and the father of the groom started by saying, "We're gathered here to lust." And everybody laughed. And then he said, "Well, if you think about it, it's really where every marriage starts." And it's a little aggressive for this, but when I saw her from across the stage there in Nashville, I thought she was the most beautiful girl that I'd ever seen. And over the last 5 years, I got to know the more forward qualities in her, and have started to really appreciate the woman that she is. She's, like it's already been said, Miss Luke said it, she's extremely patient with everyone, particularly me. I give her a hard time a lot of times. She's very patient with Maggie, who I put her to crepe, but she'll put up with her and do all that. She goes out of her way, like I feel like I'm saying the same things everybody says, but I guess it's all this important qualities. But like her mom said, she goes out of her way to make everybody happy, whoever she's with. Even people that I tell her aren't worth it and that she shouldn't worry about them. She makes me laugh every day. We have no friends in Winston, so we spend all of our time together. And she makes me laugh every day. And I'm pretty good about, I think, hiding when something's got me down or I'm worried about something. And she has a sixth sense to kind of know that something's bothering me, and she is pretty good at prying it out of me and making me talk about whatever's bothering me, and always helps me out with it. Couldn't have asked for a better life partner, and I'm very excited to marry you-in-law. I'd like to wrapping up, I'd like to thank everyone again for all your support and helping us kind of make this relationship work over the last 5 years, all the way down to Mr. Luke's gas card. You'll get it back after we get back from Grand Cayman. We're excited for tomorrow and for our futures together with all of y'all. And thank you all again for coming, and we appreciate it.